This is MRN Out Loud, brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Woody Cain. On this week's edition of MRN Out Loud, we're headed to the Roval, Charlotte Motor Speedway, specifically for the Xfinity Series. Our guest on the program is Will Rodgers. He'll be making his third start this season for Sam Hunt Racing. He's from Hawaii, and he's trying to help those with chronic liver disease. Find out more on this week's edition next.
Gamers, start your engines. Meet the next generation of racing wheels. The award-winning Logitech G design is re-engineered to dial into your game physics, delivering unprecedented realism. Feel every shift, drift, and hairpin turn like never before. Our latest innovation in force feedback technology connects directly to endgame simulation engines and physics to produce higher fidelity, real-time responses. Through design, engineering, and the love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Go to logitechg.com.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Will Rodgers is with us. He will be running this weekend at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Sam Hunt Racing, driving the number 26 Race to End Hep-C.com Good RX Toyota. And that's a mouthful, Will, but there's a really good reason behind it. So let's start there. A lot of teams, a lot of drivers have causes that they support, but you're living yours. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. This weekend is really big for our Race to End Hep C campaign, and as you just shared, it does stem from something in my background, really something close to me. I was affected at 3.5 years old by a chronic liver disease. Thankfully, something that I've learned to live with for about 20 years now, healthy. But it's an autoimmune disorder that I can't get rid of, unfortunately, and that's led me to live a very healthy lifestyle, be very health conscious, and also try to help promote health and wellness in the community, but mainly from a liver perspective. So with that, a few years ago, I decided to start my foundation, the Will Rodgers Liver Health Foundation, and we're all about education, awareness, and providing testing to the community for liver diseases. The first one we're starting with is hepatitis C.
So I'm curious, you are from Hawaii. You were diagnosed at age 3 because there were some symptoms showing up that you guys didn't really know what was going on. So for the general population who may be wondering, what are some of the warning signs that people can look for to think, well, maybe I need to get myself checked?
Yeah, absolutely. At 3.5, and not having any pre-existing conditions in my family that we knew of, especially from a liver perspective, we were caught off guard. But thankfully, my parents saw those signs. At 3.5, I didn't know what the heck was going on, of course. I was just not feeling comfortable. But my parents luckily saw it. Mainly, I was very, very fatigued for a number of days, if not weeks, unlike a 3.5-year-old, right? Usually bouncing off the walls, having fun, playing with friends. And so I wasn't really willing to do anything. I ended up becoming a bit jaundiced, and also later on throughout those few days, I think at the point in time where they said, okay, we're going to the doctor, I had an inflamed abdomen. Like my abdomen or liver area was very large for being 3.5 years old. So that was a physical symptom that we experienced, and that's what got us to the doctor. And I can tell you, when we saw my primary care physician at that time, my parents remember it like it was yesterday. He examined me and was white as a ghost and said, you need to go see these people in Johns Hopkins in Baltimore because this is very serious. And a few days later, I think actually a few weeks later, I was officially diagnosed. But from that point, I was being treated for my liver condition.
Wow, Johns Hopkins, that's not the Minute Clinic. That's the big time right there. Absolutely.
That's it. Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about your background before we talk about this weekend's racing. I've talked to people who have been to Hawaii, but you're the only guy I have ever talked to who is from Hawaii. And I'm curious, you came up racing at about 8 years old and became the state champion there at 9 years old. But I'm curious, what's the racing environment like in Hawaii?
So racing environment in Hawaii, it's pretty mellow, as you would probably imagine, right? Most things in Hawaii are kind of mellow, right? But of course, many people wouldn't think there would be racing on an island or any of the islands. But as a matter of fact, there is. So I know the Big Island in Oahu, they have some dirt circle track racing, some various car clubs that hang out and do some more like autocross things together, at least from what I know. But on Maui specifically, there is a little go-kart track next to a motocross track, next to a drag strip, all within like one facility in the middle of a cane field. You would never know it. Most people that go and visit Maui, they stay in one of two places primarily. And it's funny because everybody has to pass the go-kart track to get to those places, but you'd never know you passed it.
Like Field of Dreams almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hidden away. Only the few people know about it. It's pretty cool. But once you're immersed in it, it's just like any other motorsports community, around the country, if not the world. We're all a pretty tight-knit group, become family pretty quickly. Of course, we're all very competitive. Even at 8 years old, I remember it being pretty serious about winning a championship. And it may have been a Hawaii state championship, so nothing super major, but to us, it was a big accomplishment, and it was cool to at least get my start there.
Yeah, it is a fantastic accomplishment. You've also won 4 times in the ARCA Menard Series. This will be, I think, your 3rd Xfinity race this season, and both of those have been for Sam Hunt. Your first oval was this year at Nashville. You ran the Indy Road Course as well, qualified 8th. So let's talk a little bit about the Roval coming up this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Kind of a different course. The Indy Road Course is similar in that you use part of the big track and part of the infield. So how does Charlotte compare to that and some of the other courses that you've been on?
Yeah, I think from the outside looking in, you'd think that Indy would be very similar to Charlotte because it's also technically like a Roval. But Indy's big and flat, and there's not a ton of characteristic to it, in my opinion, at least. And you have a lot of time to think, plan, strategize, what have you. Very technical, very tight. It's hard to ping that in 2019 with Brandon Belt Motorsports. And the only point in time where I take a second to breathe was turns 4 and 5 or 5 and 6, that small area, right? And that was the only time where I could just chill, and then it's right back to work for the entire lap. So that's what I think makes the Roval a lot different from Indy, but it also suits my driving style. If it's more technical, that's kind of where I'm better. The faster, wide open stuff, I can do it, no problem. I'm comfortable doing it, but I seem to find more success when it's tight and twisty stuff.
That certainly describes the infield part of the Charlotte course, but I'm sure you saw last year, and it was a monsoon, and a boat might have been better suited to get around that track than a race car. So what kind of experience do you have on rain tires? Because as we're recording this, there's a 50-50 chance of rain on Saturday.
Yeah, it's man, I'm really hoping the weather changes for sure. But no, I think my experience on rain will definitely help me. I raced go-karts in the rain, growing up, and then I did a lot of off-road racing as well. So I'm familiar with that, lack of grip kind of sensation, I guess, as I started ascending the ladder of motorsports. But from my sports car days, and then a little bit here in the stock car, career, I've had some experience on rain tires and in the rain. Usually, if I'm comfortable with the car and comfortable with the track, where more like a traditional road course circuit, I've been known to be pretty good in the rain, but the Roval is not a traditional road course circuit. And this is a big, heavy stock car with a ton of horsepower. And it's just going to throw a wrench in everything that I probably know. So I'll definitely be challenged for it. And especially going up against guys like, AJ Allmendinger and Austin Cindric. Those guys, obviously very successful in the rain, have had a lot of experience. AJ winning it last year, I believe. And so I'm going to be going back and watching their videos for sure to see if I can pick up on a few things. But confidence is, as the rain report shows, 50-50.
Very good. The been there, done that crowd. Now, in addition to racing, Will Rodgers Racing Inc. also has some coaching, media production, iRacing. Tell me about what all else you're involved in. You sound like you don't get much time to sleep or eat or do a whole lot else. You're a busy guy.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if I got a few of those things coming up this next year, but I don't think it will. It doesn't look like it's slowing down at all. But yeah, we've started an esports organization with a group called Space Station Gaming. That was about a year and a half ago, really at the peak of COVID, when everything kind of got shut down and NASCAR went virtual. Decided to reach out to some friends of mine that ran that group and form an alliance to start an esports org for iRacing specifically. And we've since earned our spot into the Coca-Cola iRacing series, which is awesome. That was really our main goal, and we got there very quickly. We made the playoffs this year in our first year of competition, which was kind of incredible. Unfortunately, we didn't roll on to the Final Four, but it is what it is. So that stuff's very exciting. I do some coaching on the side, primarily for road courses. I try to help the younger folks, like in the ARCA series. I try to help them transition into a big, heavy stock car, turning left and right at various places. Sonoma is really my stomping ground for that. So make a few trips out there every year. And yeah, we do some media production as well. So my former job, the way that I paid for racing, at least in the amateur days, was I worked as a cinematographer in Los Angeles and San Diego for action sports companies, agencies, various groups to produce content. And that is how I bankrolled my amateur sports car career. So I have experience there. And, now that I've moved on to becoming a professional behind the wheel, I don't have as much time to do the media stuff, but it's always been a big passion of mine. And so I try to roll that into everything that I'm doing today. And who knows, maybe I can form my own media group that does it full time eventually.
Wow, we all have to be multitaskers these days for sure. Now, I also understand that you're a big James Bond fan. And as you know, I'm sure if you are, the new film, No Time to Die, is coming out October 8th, your birthday. So I'm imagining that's already penciled in on your calendar.
Yeah, but it's penciled in for next week.
Okay.
We're focused on Roval this week. Also got some big sponsor plans on Friday on my birthday. So unfortunately, no movies for me, but looking forward to it. I remember my dad and I got into the Bond series, when I was probably around 7 or 8 years old, watching the old films and kind of all the way through. I think I've missed a few of them, but stayed pretty consistent. Kind of just a cool thing to reflect with my dad growing up.
This is Daniel Craig's last one as James Bond. So I'm curious, who is your favorite Bond of all time?
I think Connery's going down as the best Bond of all time, right? Yeah. But I think Craig is pretty solid. Like I feel like he fits that mold. Brings kind of a different outlook on what the story could be. Obviously, it's a Bond film. Usually they're all kind of the same, but it's interesting to have different characters and mix it up. So we'll see. We'll see if the last one's a good one.
You got a favorite for the new Bond?
Skyfall.
No, I mean Skyfall. Yeah. I love the movie, but I mean, who will be the next James Bond?
Oh, no idea. I honestly haven't looked into it that much. I'm just whenever I see a new movie come up, I'm like, oh, cool, I'll go see it. I'm sure they'll pick somebody good. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be up to the task for sure.
The franchise requires it for sure. You got to have an A-lister for that. That's going to be fun to watch how it goes. Well, let's wrap up with this, Will. Tell folks, since we started off with talking about your foundation, how people can get more information and find out more if they want to learn more about your efforts, not just in the race car, but beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anybody's interested in learning about liver health in general or our campaign, Race to End Hep C, you can go to racetoendhepc.com. We have a survey on there that helps us understand what everybody knows about liver health and also provide some education. Also some links with our partners on the foundation side, GoodRx and AbbVie and OraSure Technologies. They're all groups that help support what we're doing in the community by providing testing and linking to care, which is super, super important for things like Hep C. And then on the racing side, you can go to willrodgersracing.com, follow me there or on my social medias, and follow along as we race the Roval this year and moving on to 2022. Hopefully some plans will be announced in the coming weeks for what that looks like.
All right, cool deal. Will, we appreciate your time and look forward to catching you on track this weekend at the Roval. Good luck with that race. It's going to be a wild one.
Thanks. Likewise.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, it did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Time for this week's iRacing update, and it all comes down to this. 4 drivers have the chance to win the 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Championship. That championship race will be on Tuesday, October 12th at the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. You can catch all the action and the iRacing countdown to green at enascar.com/live at 8:30 p.m. with the racing starting on enascar.com at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, October the 12th. Go to iRacing.com for all the latest news, featured videos, and more information on the world of iRacing. This iRacing update is brought to you by Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, the Logitech G923 takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheels and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We'll be right back.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Well, that's all the time we've got on this week's edition of MRN Out Loud. Don't forget, you can catch Will Rodgers, our guest today, in the Saturday Xfinity Series race. It starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the Drive for the Cure 250 from the Charlotte Roval. Until we see you right back here next week, I'm Woody Cain saying thanks for joining us on this week's edition of MRN Out Loud.